Welcome back. It's Daybreak on the Rise. And it's time for the press preview. Our first look at what's on the front pages as they arrive. We kickstart with our sister publication this day. Buhari warns APC of consequences of disunity. He says corrupt defectors will not be spared. And he admits that age is taking its toll on him. PDP replies Buhari, "Just go. Nigerians don't want a successor from you." And at 2023, Anyim Pius Anyim declares interest in presidency. It's on page 48. And Shell places more onshore assets in Nigeria for sale.
The Punch this morning, Super Tucano deployment. NAF plans bandits bombardment. Allies fears over civilian casualties. That's a US warning to the federal government. Military to target forest bandit camps, not civilian areas. Also, federal government spent $1.68 billion on food import in 9 months. That's according to the CBN. PDP will take over if APC leaders fail on convention. That's according to the president. And also bloodbath in the Zamfara communities as bandits kill 200 and scores missing.
Here's the front page of The Guardian this morning. I have given my best to Nigeria, says Buhari. And the leading photograph there is that of President Muhammadu Buhari and the former President Goodluck Jonathan at the State House, Abuja, yesterday. Well, The Guardian is leading with 10 years after occupying Nigeria, Buhari battles fuel subsidy.
Moving on now to the Nation newspaper. Buhari tells APC intra-party rift and invitation to PDP victory. 2 million Nigerians get 10 billion naira monthly stipends. And Shell eyes $3 billion from sale of assets. Right above that, no plan to sack workers. That's according to the federal government. And Defense Headquarters is telling politicians don't wear military camouflage to campaign rallies.
Now in the international papers, The Guardian UK, Tory peer secretly involved in firm given PPE contracts. Also PM facing corruption claim over number 11 refurbishment. And a dagger to the throat of democracy. Biden attacks Trump legacy.
And the Times is leading with second Maxwell juror was abused. Disgraced socialite may have grounds for a retrial, say legal experts amid questions over jury selection process.
In the Independent paper, there's a picture of President Joe Biden, who was speaking earlier and made a blistering speech that ripped into Donald Trump on the January 6th ride anniversary. Now, rioters held dagger at throat of the US, but the major headline there saying Prime Minister in new sleaze claims over flat refurbishment.
The Daily Mirror this morning also with the corrupt story. Johnson accused over £112,000 flat refurbished missing text revealed, but the main story, royal exclusive, desperate Andrew's 17 million ski chalet sale. Prince rushes through deal in case he needs cash for sex case settlement. Queen won't pay legal bills. Angry Charles and Wills says he must sort the mess out.
Let's take a look at the front page of the Daily Mail. Amid growing outcry over acquittal of Colston statue wreckers, Prime Minister, vandals can't change our history.
And the Financial Times, Biden fears threat to democracy a year on from Capitol assault.
So for the press preview, let's bring in Emmanuel Bello. Good morning to you, Emmanuel. Good to see you as always. This day, obviously, Buhari warns APC of consequences of disunity. Clearly still having influence on the party as they head into 2023. But I'm quite intrigued with admits age has taken its toll on him. Should he really be admitting something while he's still, the election's still over a year away?
Good morning and welcome to the thank God it's Friday, like we say, it's the weekend. And a very interesting story, yes, Dan, the president talking about his age. There's been a lot of talk around that issue. So the president, of course, I'm sure he's conscious of those kind of talks out there and he's talking. We've seen this president saying more in this last few months of his leaving office than he's spoken in the last years he's been in power. So, and this is the kind of this is the side of the president we've not seen much. And that's why each interviews, make it to the headlines the next day, because elsewhere probably what a president will say or what he doesn't say might not be such a huge story, because you get presidents talking to their people almost every time. But then this president has been taciturn for the most part of his regime. His administration. But now he's talking and talking more frequently. In less than 48 hours, he's spoken to 2 major networks, and I've said some really serious things. Yesterday, we see him wearing his party leader hat and talking about his party, the APC, warning the party that, well, if they continue to disunite, so the party couldn't get its act together in the face of a much more organized, seemingly much more organized PDP, the opposition party that got all its conventions right, got its leadership right in place, just waiting to pounce. So the party leader, the apex leader of the party, the president himself, is saying that, look, there's a danger if we continue to disunite. The PDP is set to victory. I think that's good news for the PDP that already, between yesterday and today, have criticized the president again and again, saying we saw the National Party of the President, Iyochi coming out strongly to criticize the president after the first televised interview, saying that the president is lacking ideas, he's run out of ideas, and he's recycling those ideas that didn't work and can't work. And then they said some more again yesterday, reminding the president that, look, we don't want a successor from you, we just want you to go. The president is saying, no, just go. And the president himself is first to say that, look, he's not trying to voice any leadership on his party or the country, and that even the age is taking toll on him. We're seeing a president that is actually almost in a hurry to leave.
Well, the PDP and other political parties have about 16 months to get another shot at the presidency when it's time for the general elections here in Nigeria, so they may just have to wait that long. Let's look at the front page of The Guardian, Emmanuel, this morning. It's also leading with the president saying he has given his best to Nigerians, but there's a bolder headline there, which is about the fuel subsidy in the country. Guardian is saying that the president is still battling with fuel subsidy 10 years after Occupy Nigeria. I just realized it's been 10 years since we had Occupy Nigeria protests.
That's right, yeah. Yes, and it's a good thing that the Nigerian newspaper actually just reminded us, almost like an anniversary of Occupy Nigeria. And it is the contradiction there is so stark. That was the time this president was and his party were trying very hard to convince Nigerians that they have a better plan for the country. But now, 10 years down the line, the Guardian newspaper is latching onto history and reminding both Nigerians and, of course, this administration that this is what happened in the past and this is where we are today. It's a beautiful story, and the sort of stories that go exclusive too. And of course, the president saying, "I've given my best to Nigeria." My best to Nigeria. Well, so this too will be open for all sort of criticism, I'm sure, down the line today. And there are people who say that your best was not good enough. Some will say, well, that's a very honest admission by this president that, look, this is the best I can do so far. And if you tie down that to what Professor Iyochi you said the day before yesterday, that this president is lacking ideas and is recycling the ones that have not even worked. Traducers and those who don't believe in him have a lot of material on their hands now to go after the president, especially now that he's saying that he has given his best to the country. But then it's an honest admission by a man. You can doubt the efficiency of this president. You cannot doubt his honesty or his integrity. He likes to say it the way it is. He's saying that, well, I hear your criticism, but this is the best I can offer. Of course, that is going to be open to all sorts of interpretation again down the line. But it's a good thing that the Guardian newspaper is reminding us the history of fuel subsidy, especially now that the finance minister is saying that in 6 months' time, those subsidies will be gone. And then, of course, Nigerians will be faced with the stark reality of life without those fuel subsidies. How we're able to cope with it will be, very interesting angles that we will be covering here.
Yeah, imagine when you say we can't doubt the president's honesty. Once upon a time, he did say there was nothing like fuel subsidy. And then he gets into power and the tune changes. But let's take a look at the Nation newspaper. 2 million Nigerians get 10 billion naira monthly stipends. And that's the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Sadiya Umar, speaking there. Perhaps for the sake of transparency and accountability, is it too much to ask if we could get the names and contacts of these people, I mean, on a website or something? Because we keep hearing numbers of people who are receiving 1 billion, 2 billion, 3 billion, and we just don't see any documents.
Yeah, Ken, when I was saying that you can't doubt the president honestly, is that I'm saying that he said it the way it is. In those interviews, the president has continuously said things the way, not even trying to be very political about it. To say, I've given my best to the country. Some other people will be a bit more, tactical about saying things like that. So that's what I mean by that. But again, you're right. These numbers keep flying. We keep seeing figures. Where are the people? And I've had this Nigerians, talking to Nigerians around, to people around these issues. They've said, look, they are worried that these monies are just on paper. You don't seem to see the monies. No, you hear also that there are beneficiaries, real people talking about what they've benefited in these monies flying all over the places. So we need to do more work, in fact, check all of that to know whether real people are getting this money, because people have doubted that, look, if you're taking away these subsidies, how are lives going to be affected? How will people cope with the crisis of transportation and all the other issues? So this presidency doing all its best to say, look, we've got monies aside to cushion the effect of the removal of the first subsidy. And you're right, we need to worry whether this is not just another ploy for some few people to actually take these monies, and then the real people themselves, the real Nigerians, are not getting access. We need to ask more questions about who these people are, who is benefiting what, and let's see it practically happening. I think that's a job that some of us here in the newsroom will have to be doing while we actually keep the presidency and the authorities on their toes to ensure that real people get this real money and not just figures on papers the way we are seeing them.
Yeah, Emmanuel, we'll just quickly look at some of the international papers. Yesterday, obviously, we covered the 6th of January insurrection of the US Capitol. President Biden made a speech. This story has been continuing in the US for some time. There's an investigation underway which seems slightly irregular in terms of the people investigating it drip feeding to the American media networks rather than waiting for the investigation to finish and go, here's the evidence. Do you think there's any danger that in effect this constant coverage could almost incite Trump fans again, and we could potentially see more violence, especially when the full evidence of the investigation is released?
Yeah, Dan, I also sometimes, worry about the intense investigation of January 6th. But when you look at what even Biden said yesterday, and when you look at what Democrats are saying, that for the first time in the history of that country, democracy came close to being truncated. When you look at that, you understand that, yes, that date is very important. But you're right. There's this almost, if you look at especially one major network, I think the CNN, covering it again and again and again and again. But then that's tell you how serious the issue is, how serious democracy is, and how serious any threat to democracy, whether it's in the US or anywhere in the world, is. So, well, evidence have to be collected, but you're right. Trump supporters seem to be emboldened by this, thorough investigation, and many of them unrepentant about it and saying that, well, they were trying to do what is right. But you see, President Biden saying that the day has to be remembered because it's the day that the U.S. democracy came close to being, shut down. And that's also a warning around the world. The president is saying that, look, democracy is in danger, not just in the U.S., but around the world. And I think for us, for the rest of the world, is something we really need to look at. But like you noted, Trump supporters are not faded by those investigations. In fact, they're emboldened by it.
Thank you, Manuel. We'll see you again next week, over the weekend. Anyways, thank you for this morning.